I'll take you to court and ask for full custody. Courts favor mothers," my ex-wife declared after a decade of silence, leaving me to raise our baby alone. She wasn't ready for the truth I brought to court. So this is happening and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Sorry if this is long, but I need to get this out somewhere. 10 years ago, my ex-wife Qley just vanished. Like, literally disappeared one day while I was at work. I came home to find all her stuff gone and a note saying she couldn't do this anymore. Our son Liam was barely walking, just 10 months old. I spent weeks trying to find her, calling everyone we knew, checking with family, even filed a missing person report. Nothing, she was just gone. The backstory matters here. We met in college, got pregnant during our senior year. I was already lined up for a decent entry-level job in consulting. She was studying graphic design but hadn't finished her degree when Liam came along. We got married quickly, moved into a tiny apartment, and honestly, those first few months were hell. I was working 60-plus-hour weeks trying to prove myself at the company, coming home to a crying baby and a wife who seemed to be disappearing a little more each day. I tried everything. I took overnight feedings, did all the grocery shopping, cleaned the apartment, tried to give her time to finish her portfolio for graduation. But she kept getting more distant, more resentful. She'd make comments about how I got to escape to work while she was trapped with a baby. I suggested she go back to school part-time, offered to pay for a nanny, but she'd just stare at me like I didn't understand. Maybe I didn't. The night before she left, we had a huge fight about money. I'd gotten a small bonus and wanted to put it toward Liam's college fund. She wanted to use it for her to go back to school full-time. I said we couldn't afford childcare and tuition right now, maybe in a year when my salary increased. She screamed that I was sabotaging her future and trapping her in this life. I went asleep on the couch that night. When I came home the next day and found her gone, part of me wasn't even surprised. But the note, God, that note. I can't be the mother you want me to be. I can't be the wife you deserve. Liam will be better off without me. Don't try to find me. See, fast forward to 3 months ago. I'm picking up Liam from school. He's 10 now. Crazy how time flies, and there she is, standing by the fence like she never left. My stomach literally dropped through the floor when I saw her. She looked good. Older obviously, but put together. Designer jeans, perfect makeup, hair that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. Liam didn't even recognize her, and honestly, that broke something in me I didn't know was still breakable. And do you know what she said when she came up to where I was standing? She wants to reconnect with Liam, and she's talking about custody. Custody. After 10 years of complete radio silence. Here's what's eating at me though, I'm not heartless. I know kids need their mothers, and I've always been honest with Liam about why mommy wasn't around in age-appropriate ways. Part of me still loves the woman she used to be, the one who cried happy tears when Liam took his first steps, who would spend hours reading to him even when she was exhausted. But this woman standing at the school fence, she felt like a stranger wearing Qley's face. For context, yeah, I've done okay for myself since she left. That entry-level consulting job. I busted my ass, worked every weekend, took every assignment, got promoted 3 times in 5 years. Started my own firm when Liam was 7, and now we're comfortable. Not rich, but comfortable. Liam goes to a good school, we take nice vacations. He's got everything he needs and most of what he wants. The thing is, she's not asking about him. She's asking about custody schedules and fair arrangements, and what kind of support I'd be providing. When I mentioned Liam's been in therapy to deal with abandonment issues, she brushed it off and changed the subject to logistics. I told her we needed to take this slow, let Liam process this, maybe start with supervised visits if she was serious about being in his life. She got mad. Started going on about her parental rights and how I couldn't keep her from her son. Like, lady, I didn't keep you from anything, you left. You left a 10-month-old baby and a husband who was drowning trying to keep everything together. Am I being unreasonable here? Part of me wants to tell her to back right off after what she put us through. But another part keeps asking, what if Liam really needs his mother? What if I'm being too harsh because I'm still hurt? What if she really has changed and I'm denying my son a chance at having a complete family? The appointment with my lawyer is next week. Liam doesn't know about any of this yet because I don't want to get his hopes up if this is just another one of her disappearing acts. He's been through enough. Anyone been through something like this? What would you do? Edit, I've already started documenting everything. Screenshots of her texts, notes from our conversations. My lawyer buddy told me years ago to keep records just in case this day came. Smart man. Update 1. Posted 10 weeks ago, you guys really called it. Every single person who said this was about money was absolutely right, and I feel like an idiot for even hoping this might be genuine. It's been 6 weeks since Qley first appeared at Liam's school, and every day feels like a month. My lawyer filed for emergency temporary orders that prevent her from taking any action regarding Liam until we can have a proper hearing. The waiting is killing me, but at least it's giving us time to build our case and figure out what the hell we're dealing with. I've had 3 meetings with Qley over the past month and a half, and each one has been more revealing than the last. The first was at a coffee shop downtown. I suggested neutral ground. She pushed for somewhere more private to really talk. Red flag number 1, but I ignored it. She started off asking about Liam's school, his interests, whether he remembered her at all. She even teared up talking about missing his childhood. For about 5 minutes, I actually thought maybe I was being too cynical. Then she started talking about her situation, and the whole vibe changed. Apparently, she's been living in California for the past 8 years, tried to make it as an actress, I know, biggest eye roll of my life, then worked various jobs in the creative industry. She's currently between opportunities and staying with a friend in LA. She mentioned how she's been thinking about Liam every day but needed to get stable first before reaching out. Here's where it gets manipulative. She had this way of making me feel guilty for being successful while she struggled. You've done so well for yourself, Roger. I'm proud of you, really. The house, the business, Liam's opportunities. It's everything we dreamed about back in college. It's just hard knowing Liam's had all these advantages while I've been barely scraping by, you know. When I asked about the 10 years, like, where was this maternal instinct when Liam was crying for mama every night for months? She got defensive immediately. Roger, I was 21 years old with a baby and a husband who was never home. I was drowning in that tiny apartment with no friends, no family nearby, no future. I made a mistake leaving the way I did, but I was young and scared and overwhelmed. I'm here now trying to fix it. You can't hold my past against me forever. I pointed out that abandonment isn't just a mistake. She left no forwarding address, no way to contact her, no financial support, no explanation beyond a single note. I was 23 years old too, working 60-hour weeks and coming home to a crying baby and formula to mix and diapers to change and a mortgage I could barely afford. But you figured it out, she said, and there was something in her voice. You built this whole life. You got promoted, started your own company, bought a house in a good school district. You made it work. That's when her mask slipped a little. She started talking about fairness and how Liam deserves both parents and how it wouldn't be right for there to be such a disparity in his living situations. She kept circling back to equal responsibility and balanced arrangements while barely mentioning Liam's actual emotional needs. I think 50-50 custody would be fairest for everyone, she said, and the way she said it like she'd rehearsed it made my skin crawl. Liam gets equal time with both parents and we both contribute equally to his upbringing. It's what's best for him. The whole conversation felt like a business negotiation, not a mother wanting to reconnect with her child. Meanwhile, Liam's been asking more questions about everything. Nothing direct about his mom. He doesn't even know she's back yet, but about our life, our routine. Dad, will things always be the same with just us? Do you think other kids' moms come back after they leave? It breaks my heart every time because I can see him trying to process the concept of having a mother who exists but isn't present. Yesterday he asked me, Dad, is it okay if I don't want things to change? I told him his feelings were valid and that no matter what happened, I'd always be his dad and nothing would change that. Then I went to my room and cried for 20 minutes because what if something does change? What if the courts decide she has rights? What if I lose him? My second meeting with Qley was at a restaurant. She was late, which should have surprised me but didn't. She spent the first 10 minutes apologizing and explaining how traffic was terrible and her friend's car was acting up. Then she ordered the most expensive thing on the menu and somehow forgot her wallet. During dinner, she asked detailed questions about Liam's school, not about his favorite subjects or whether he was struggling with anything, but about tuition costs, what programs they offered, whether it was one of those fancy private schools. She asked about our house, our neighborhood, what kind of car I drive. When I redirected the conversation to Liam's personality, his fears, his dreams, she'd nod politely and then steer back to logistics. She asked if I'd ever considered moving to California for Liam's opportunities. Said the schools out there were probably better, more diverse, more creative programs. I pointed out that Liam was settled here, had friends, a life, a routine. She said kids were resilient and adaptable. My lawyer says to keep playing nice while we build our case, document everything. Don't give her any ammunition to claim I'm being hostile or uncooperative. But honestly, every interaction makes me more convinced this isn't about Liam at all. The third meeting is tomorrow. She's insisting we need to establish a timeline for introducing her to Liam and formalizing arrangements. I've got my phone ready to record everything. Thanks for all the advice, Reddit. You saw this coming from a mile away and I should have listened from the start. Edit. For those asking, yes, I've called Liam's school. She can't pick him up without my written permission, period. They have security protocols for situations like this. Some of you suggested hiring a PI. I'm actually considering it. Legal fees are already eating into Liam's college fund, but what choice do I have? I need to know what I'm really dealing with. Update 2. Posted 6 weeks ago. This keeps getting worse and I'm starting to realize how naive I've been. I hired a PI like some of you suggested and the report came back last week. It's not the smoking gun I hoped for, but it paints a picture that made my blood run cold. First, the financial stuff. Qley's situation isn't just between opportunities. She's financially screwed. The PI found public records showing multiple lawsuits from landlords and creditors over the past 2 years. She owes back taxes to California, has unpaid medical bills, defaulted on a car loan, and was served with papers for property damage and unpaid rent just 3 weeks before she showed up at Liam's school. The timing isn't a coincidence. She's been in serious financial trouble for months. Then suddenly she remembers she has a son whose father has done well for himself. Her social media was mostly private now, but the PI managed to find older posts from 2 to 3 years ago showing a lifestyle that definitely didn't match someone struggling to get by. Expensive restaurants, weekend trips to Vegas, designer handbags, beach vacations. Zero mentions of having a son anywhere. Her bio on Instagram still says, "Living my best life." No drama, no stress. What really got me was a post from about 8 months ago where she shared an article about financial independence after divorce, with the caption, "Never too late to get what you deserve." The PI couldn't prove she was researching custody laws specifically, but the timeline tells the story. I confronted her about some of this during our third meeting last week. I asked her directly about her financial situation and whether that was influencing her sudden interest in custody. The reaction was immediate and telling. She completely lost it. Started yelling about how dare I question her motives, how I was being controlling and manipulative just like I always was, how I was trying to poison her relationship with her son before it even started. She actually accused me of financial abuse for making her feel bad about her situation. "You think just because you got lucky and made money that makes you a better parent than me," she screamed. "You think you can throw your success in my face and make me feel like I don't deserve my own child." I stayed calm, kept asking reasonable questions. Where was she living? What was her plan for stable housing if she wanted regular custody? Did she have a job lined up? That's when she said something that made my blood run cold. "If you don't agree to shared custody voluntarily, I'll take you to court and ask for full custody." I'm his mother, Roger. Courts favor mothers, especially when the father is clearly hostile to reunification. I spent 10 years answering my son's questions about why his mommy left us, telling him that sometimes people make choices that hurt us, but that doesn't mean they don't love us. And now I'm hostile. I recorded that conversation, by the way. One-party consent state, and my lawyer advised me to document everything. The legal process is moving slowly. Family court doesn't rush these things, which is probably good for us. We're looking at another 6 to 8 weeks before the main hearing, maybe longer if her lawyer requests delays. My attorney filed a motion to prevent her from making any custody claims until we can have a full evaluation. The stress is getting to me more than I want to admit. I'm snapping at everyone, my employees, my parents, even Liam sometimes, which makes me feel like absolute shit. I've always prided myself on being patient with him, never letting work stress affect our relationship. But this situation has me on edge constantly. I check the locks on our doors twice every night now. Jump when the phone rings unexpectedly. Find myself scanning parking lots and crowds for her face. I hate that she's made me paranoid in places that used to feel safe. Liam's therapist says this uncertainty is often harder on kids than bad news sometimes. He's been having nightmares again, not about Qley taking him away, but about me leaving him. Had to reassure him 3 times last week that Daddy's not going anywhere, ever, no matter what happens. This isn't about being bitter anymore. This is about protecting my son from someone who sees him as a financial opportunity, a means to solve her problems. But proving that in court is going to be the fight of my life. Some days I look at Liam, really look at him, and I see the baby I rocked to sleep every night while his mother was God knows where living her best life. Other days I see the 10-year-old who still asks me to check under his bed for monsters, who trusts me completely to keep him safe from everything scary in the world. I won't let her destroy that. I can't. Edit, for those asking about the recorded conversation, my lawyer has it documented along with everything else. We're building a comprehensive case. Final update. Posted 3 days ago after 3 months of legal proceedings that felt like 3 years, we finally had our day in court last week. The hearing wasn't the dramatic showdown I expected from watching too much Law and Order. Everything was professional, methodical, almost boring in its formality. Qley showed up with a lawyer who seemed competent enough, but clearly hadn't done his homework on our specific case. My attorney came prepared with everything we'd gathered over the past 3 months. The judge was a middle-aged woman with the kind of neutral expression that gives nothing away. When she questioned Qley directly about her motivations and plans for parenting, that's when things got interesting. Qley's answers kept returning to themes of fairness and equal financial responsibility, rather than Liam's emotional needs or her desire to actually parent him. When asked about her 10-year absence, she stuck to her rehearsed script about being young and overwhelmed, but couldn't explain why she never attempted contact once she was supposedly more stable. When asked about her specific plans for parenting, she talked in vague terms about providing opportunities and equal living standards, but couldn't answer basic questions about Liam's current interests, academic challenges, or emotional needs. The recorded conversation where Qley threatened to seek full custody was played in court. Her lawyer tried to argue it was taken out of context, but when you hear someone say, courts favor mothers, especially when the father is clearly hostile to reunification, in response to reasonable questions about stability and living arrangements, the context is pretty clear. Liam's therapist testified about the emotional impact of abandonment on children and the potential trauma of forced reunification with an unstable parent. She explained how Liam had worked for years to develop secure attachment despite early abandonment, and how disrupting that could cause significant regression. The financial evidence painted a picture of someone in crisis making desperate decisions. Multiple evictions, unpaid debts, no stable employment history, and a pattern of borrowing money from friends and family. The social media posts showing expensive lifestyle choices while claiming financial hardship didn't help her case. When it came time for Qley to make her final statement, she started strong with prepared remarks about growth and second chances. But then she went off script and started talking about how unfair it was that I had everything while she had nothing, how the system was biased against mothers who made one mistake. The judge's expression remained neutral throughout, but I caught the slight pause before her next question when Qley said benefit from both parents' resources. That moment felt significant. The ruling was everything we'd hoped for: no custody rights, no unsupervised visitation. If Qley wanted any relationship with Liam at all, she had to complete court-ordered parenting classes, undergo psychological evaluation, maintain stable housing and employment for a minimum of 6 months, and prove consistent sobriety. Even then, any contact would be supervised and limited, with the option for Liam to refuse visits if he chose. Qley didn't have the complete meltdown I expected, but she got increasingly agitated as the ruling was read. She kept trying to interrupt until her lawyer physically placed a hand on her arm. As we were leaving the courthouse, she managed to get close enough to hiss at me. "This isn't over, Roger. There are other ways to get what I deserve." I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized I wasn't angry anymore. I felt sorry for her. She'd never understand what she'd lost because she'd never really wanted it in the first place. The victory felt hollow somehow. Yes, we protected our life and our routine, but Liam still lost the possibility of having a mother who actually wanted to be his mother. That's a wound that legal victories can't heal. I finally told Liam about everything 2 days after the hearing. I'd been dreading this conversation for months, but his therapist and I agreed it was time. I explained that his biological mother had come back and wanted to be part of his life, but that the court decided it was better for him to stay with me for now. His reaction was more complicated than I expected. He was quiet for a long time after I finished explaining. Finally, he asked, "So she's not coming back?" When I confirmed that she wouldn't be disrupting our life, he nodded and went back to his homework. Later that night, I found him in his room, not crying but looking confused and sad. "I'm glad she's not taking me away from you," he said, "but I still don't understand why she left in the first place. And why did she only want me back now?" I explained that sometimes adults make choices for complicated reasons that don't have anything to do with love, and that none of it was his fault. He hugged me tight and said, "You're enough family for me." But the emotional aftermath is ongoing. He's been having some regression, more clingy than usual, asking for extra reassurance that I'm not going anywhere, wanting to sleep in my room again sometimes. Liam's therapist says it's normal for children to need extra security after threats to their stability, even when those threats are resolved. The financial cost was significant too. Legal fees, PI costs, missed work for court appearances, it all added up to about $15,000, money that was supposed to go toward Liam's college fund. But what choice did I have? Some things are worth any price. This isn't the fairy tale ending I might have wanted when this all started, but we're safe, we're stable, and we're moving forward together. Liam asked yesterday if we could donate the stuffed elephant he's kept all these years, the last physical reminder of his mother. He said he doesn't need it anymore because he knows I'm not going anywhere. I ugly cried in the garage for about an hour after that conversation, but they were good tears. Healing tears. We are planning a trip to Disney World next month. He wants to go on all the scary rides because, as he told me, we're brave, right, Dad? We can handle anything together. Yeah, kiddo, we can handle anything together. Edit. For those asking about appeals, my lawyer says it's possible but would be expensive for her and unlikely to succeed. We're prepared either way. Liam's doing well in therapy, and his teacher says he seems more relaxed in class lately. Kids are resilient when they feel secure and loved.